25 minutes ago or so is that our Attorney General has decided that he is going to unseal the documents as far as the warrant is concerned when it comes to Mar-a-Lago. So we are covering that story. And what better person to have on to talk about this than a former assistant DA, of course, out there in Uvalde, the former assistant DA. Always enjoy having her on and mixing it up, talking about all sorts of different topics in the news. That is Sara Spector joining us right now. Sara, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I appreciate you coming on as always. I guess my first question to you would be a very simple one. What is your reaction to the breaking news? We just learned that Garland is going to be unsealing the documents when it comes to the warrant to go into Mar-a-Lago. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think transparency is good. I think it's good. I mean, they need. This is an unusual case. The president of the United States, who they did a search warrant on, so it's probably the right decision to be less transparent and allow the public to know what's going on.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. And, you never know. There's a lot of crazy people out there and maybe the crazies out there, no matter how much proof is in the pudding that this was the right thing to do to go into Mar-a-Lago, they're still not going to be happy with it. But I do believe Garland has made the right decision here. I'm anxious to actually see this, what was in this thing as far as the search warrant is concerned. What were they exactly looking for? We have a good idea of it, though, don't we, Sara? I mean, allegedly what they're saying and what the FBI is looking for is, documents that allegedly Donald Trump took from the White House, classified documents, and took to his Mar-a-Lago residence either to hide them from anybody or maybe to get rid of them, right?
Who knows why? I mean, he's a person that would take things that is not his, right? And so I don't know why he would take them. That the White House and everything in that house and everything he did, it belongs to the people. He shouldn't have taken a towel from that residence. So, I mean, the people deserve to have whatever is in there back, whether it's, I don't know what he took, but you don't get to take things that aren't yours. That's just the law.
Go ahead, Nick.
Sara, let me ask you this question. Being the assistant DA, it's interesting to me. In theory, what Garland is doing, in theory, it really goes against everything you would normally do. Am I right?
I think federal law is a little different. Usually, search warrants. I think once we file, they usually are readily available to the public in state court in Texas and federal not. But yeah, I mean, so as a defense attorney, you don't want a lot of that released because you have a presumption of innocence, and this is just a probable cause affidavit. But Trump's the one that let all this out. This was done pretty quietly. He's the one that dropped the news. So I mean, I think he's waived any privilege or to secrecy or to anonymity at this point. So yeah, I mean, I'm on both sides. I mean, I'm a defense attorney. I used to be a prosecutor, and I'm of the opinion that it's okay to let information out before trial. I think juries are smart. I think the public's smart, and the more information, if truth is on your side, is going to help you. It's going to help you.
Let me follow that up just 1 second, if I can, Sara. When Trump let the cat out of the bag, as you said, he was the one that kind of told America this happened. Mm-hmm. His lawyers, I'm sure, and I would think, discussed it. If they released that information and they apparently wanted to control the narrative, by them not truly saying what was in the warrant and what they took, in essence, didn't they back themselves into a corner almost at that point? They almost said, hey, they came in and shouldn't have, but we're not going to tell you the rest. I mean, is it not telling the public something that they didn't want to tell people why they were there?
I don't know how smart they are. I don't know if this was all like Trump is not stupid. He's good. He's a good manipulator, and he may have planned it to like a chess game to where, yeah, I'm going to give a little bit out, and then make the United States attorney, or the judge release it, and for whatever reason. And it may be anticlimactic. It may not be any. I mean, it's probably something substantial where it could affect national security, but it may be not that huge of a deal to the average person. And maybe that's what Trump is planning right now, even though he doesn't get to keep, in documents that are important to the national security of the United States. He and his attorneys may think, let's play this like a cat and mouse game. They'll have to dump an anticlimactic, subpoena. And then everybody goes, why did you raid Trump's house? And I don't know what they're doing, but I do know this: Trump has been on top of his game, basically outsmarting, to me, the media for a long time. He knows how to manipulate it, and I don't underestimate him here. I don't.
I tend to agree with you. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Sara Spector. She's the former assistant DA out there in Uvalde, Texas. Sara, you probably know this, but I'm going to share this with our listeners.
I'm in Midland now, but I used to be the assistant DA in Uvalde, yeah.
Correct. Now you're in Midland. I want to share this with our listeners. For those of you that think this is going to be out there like immediately as far as the details in this search warrant, you're wrong. The search warrant and its attachments are unlikely to be unsealed in the near future. The reason why is because it's in motion. The government said it would follow the judge's lead in terms of additional briefing if required, and Trump's lawyers could easily file their own papers contesting the release of the materials. So, Sara, how long do you think it could be before we actually see these unsealed documents?
I would speed it up if I were the judge. I mean, if Trump files something, that's another story, but then everyone would know Trump is doing that. I don't think he's going to file anything. But I mean, it could be. I mean, the feds, they could take forever, but the feds can also do things quickly if they want to. And so, we'll see.
We will see, but I think we all could probably agree this is a good step in getting to the truth. And I think this can only help America, especially what I believe is in this thing after it's unsealed. And eventually we will all see it. I think it will prove beyond a reasonable doubt, for lack of a better term, that this was the right thing to do to go into Mar-a-Lago, and they had sufficient evidence to do so. All right, Sara, I want to ask you a little bit about Beto O'Rourke. He had an interesting moment yesterday. So Beto O'Rourke, obviously, he's running for governor in the great state of Texas against Governor Abbott, as I like to call him, Governor Abhole. That's my nickname for him for a lot of different reasons. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Beto O'Rourke, as I know you are as well, and you've helped him in his campaign. So I want to ask you, there was a moment yesterday where Beto O'Rourke is making a speech, and he's very passionate about a lot of topics, which I appreciate, but he's very passionate about gun control. And by the way, most of the country, Republican and Democrat, agree with Beto O'Rourke when it comes to gun control. So he has a moment there where he's speaking in a room with maybe 500 people. There are a few Governor Abbott supporters in there, idiots, by the way, I would call them, that are in there wearing the Abbott shirts. And there was one man that was trying to disrupt when Beto O'Rourke is talking about gun control, and he's talking about the lives that have been lost. He's passionate. And then one of the Abbott supporters starts laughing. I want you to listen to this moment because I think it's a very interesting one.
Hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and take that weapon that was originally designed for use on the battlefields in Vietnam to penetrate an enemy soldier's helmet at 500 feet and knock him down dead, up against kids at 5 feet. It may be funny to you, motherfucker, but it's not funny to me, okay?
I absolutely love it. First of all,
to Texas and vote for him.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know how anybody could laugh when you're talking about dead children, number one. And number two, I mean, I just thought Beto O'Rourke's response was, I think we need more Democrats like that. We need more people like that on the left that are aggressive when dealing with morons. What did you make of that moment, Sara?
Well, I understand it. I mean, I was at a Beto event a few months ago. I wasn't going to go, but I got a call from his campaign manager at the last minute. It was in Odessa, and I wasn't going to go. I wasn't planning to go. It was not my county, and she was like, "You need to get over there now." The state, our state rep over in Ector County, had basically did some social media post asking for people to show up with AR-15s at our event, and so I had to literally escort elderly people, through long guns. It's quite horrible. And I understand Beto's emotion out. I mean, honestly, I I hate to say this, but I think he's in danger here in Texas. There's a lot of crazy people with guns around here, and we have a lot of emotion about what's going on here. And then these kids that were, mutilated in Uvalde, and this is. We have people at the event, and I get the same. This is not an unusual outburst. Like when I try to talk to people about guns around here, they start giggling when I mention Beto's name, even after the 19 kids that died. And I don't know whether it's a nervous giggle. I don't know what it is, but he said it pretty plainly, the MF word. It was from his heart. Beto, we need more people like Beto on the left and the right. And the good thing, I heard this from somebody else on Twitter. I think he said it right. Beto's not a politician. He doesn't act like a politician. He's a human being that's running for office, and he doesn't mince words. And I think that it was a perfect moment. That's Beto. That's who he is. He's a father. He loves children, and we're tired in Texas of responses such as, laughter or anything else. It's not funny. It's not funny when children get mowed down. It's not funny that people have to have AR-15s in order to hunt. And the thing is that's all they have is nervous laughter. When you actually confront these people, that's all they have is nervous laughter, because they can't articulate a reason as to why our laws are like this.
But what you said, Sarah, is very daunting, and I'll repeat it, and then maybe you could explain it in more detail. But listen, you're a former assistant DA there in Uvalde. You're still an attorney, of course, in Midland. You've worked with Beto O'Rourke, and what you said is shocking, and you're probably right. Sadly, that you said that Beto O'Rourke is in danger, not from losing an election or winning an election. I would assume you're using that term. You're afraid that somebody can do something violent to him. Can you speak to that and tell us why you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel all of us are, especially this whole thing with Trump. It's amped up the volume again as far as the crazies coming out in Midland. They're having protests from the FBI. I'm going around knocking on doors. I don't carry a gun with me. I wear my Beto T-shirt around, and I just think somebody's going to do target practice on us. They're angry, and they think Beto is the fox, and even the left, when he ran for president, were extremely brutal on him when he talked about taking away people's AR-15s, which has now become a mainstream opinion. But it's just I think that Beto knows he's in danger. I mean, it's Texas. We killed Kennedy. I mean, it's just a fact of life around here, especially with open carry now. And Beto, I think Beto took a long time to get into the race because he's a father, and he knows that the danger that he's in Texas, running on the platform that he is.
Scary times that we are living in right now. If you're just joining us again, she is Sara Spector, the former assistant DA in Uvalde, now in Midland, Texas, practicing law. And, let's talk a little bit about Governor Abbott. I guess I'll start by saying this. No accountability. Doesn't seem like he's had any when it comes to Uvalde, the statements he's made, the lack of compassion. He hasn't been out there since, as far as I know. And when you look at Beto, and he wants obviously to get into some sort of debate or debates with your governor at the present time, and it doesn't seem to me that Governor Abbott wants any part of him and wants to do any debates. Am I wrong on that?
Yes. Well, I think he's agreeing to one, but not in the format that Beto wants to do, a town hall where people in the audience get to ask questions to people. And that's what he's been doing, literally going to these rural areas, red areas, and doing this for the past 6-7 weeks. And, he gets a lot of people who don't like him, but he answers questions and he talks to people. And that's what you should expect. And he's not even a public servant anymore. And Abbott, it was real interesting. He ran when he was running the primary, he ran against Alan West, who was even more right wing than him. And a Republican Party had a town hall out here for the primary in Midland, which is a very, Republican town. It should be pretty friendly to him. And he wouldn't show up. He was in Midland fundraising, and he didn't show up to the event. And our our very conservative editor of our local paper here, extremely conservative, wrote a pretty ugly op-ed, telling Greg Abbott that it was an insult that he won't answer questions from the people of Texas, especially Midland, who really support him, give him probably Tim Dunn gives him at least a third of what he's running on, and then there's an oil millionaire that gives him a ton of money here.
No.
You know, he doesn't. The thing is, he can't answer questions even from a friendly audience because he has no good answers. So he's just trying to stay quiet.
Speaking of not being quiet, I heard some law enforcement there in the background, some sirens. Is there any truth to the fact that there might be an FBI raid of Abbott's home right now? Is that what's going on? If you're just joining us,
I work on one of the main arteries in Midland, and so there's a lot of ambulances that go back and forth from the highway to the hospital.
Understood. Since we have you on, I mean, anything new as far as the tragic Uvalde shooting and all those innocent lives that were lost? Anything new at all? I mean, the videos came out a few weeks ago, and we had you on then. The daunting video of 19 police officers just sitting back and waiting there. I mean, it's just again, when I go back and I talk about it, it gets me so angry. I can't even imagine what those families are still having to go through. Any new information that you've received here in the last several weeks?
Well, I thought the CNN documentary was excellent. That came out, I think, a week ago. That it was really well done. It kind of summarized everything that went on and what's still going on, and the questions that are still haven't been answered. I also thought it was really. I saw a video. I lived it when I was a prosecutor down in Uvalde. I lived in Hondo. It was a 3-county area, and Hondo is in Medina County, Uvalde is in Uvalde County, but they're sister cities, and they're neighbors. And Hondo, I don't know if you caught this news, the Hondo City Council, which is even more conservative than Uvalde, is a much more red area. They had on the agenda to approve a Friends of NRA event fundraiser where they were going to raffle off an AR-15 from city property. And so I was so proud because when I lived in Uvalde, there were a lot of very apolitical people. They didn't want to get involved, and a herd of them. I mean, and a lot of the victims' a lot of the families of the victims showed up to the Midland City Council, which is, I think, 1 Latino and maybe 4 white people. It's much more. It's not as mixed race, and they're not very friendly folk up in Hondo when people show up to City Council, and they asked to be heard as to not have the event there because it was too soon after Uvalde. And again, one of the fathers got up there to speak that had lost a child, and kind of a same thing as a Beto O'Rourke moment. Somebody jeered him as he was talking about his dead child. They laughed. And he said, I don't think that's funny. What's so funny, sir? But they won. The miracle is that the city council decided not to have the NRA event there. And I think that is a bit of optimism in all this, right? That we can talk to each other and listen to each other, and the fact that this very conservative city council listened to these parents were able to articulate what was wrong with the system, and they changed, and they said, no, you're not going to have the event here. And I think that gives me some hope.
Well, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of heroes out there. I would consider Beto O'Rourke one of them, putting his safety at risk. And these parents that have lost loved ones that have the strength and the courage to speak. And it could be speaking in front of the media. It could be speaking at any event. It could be talking to a town council meeting, whatever the case may be. They're heroes. And of course, we need more voices out there like the Beto O'Rourkes of the world and people like you, and just got to keep up the good fight. Not because we want to take everybody's guns away, which is a ridiculous right-wing talking point. It's because the weapons of war, the AR-15s, the types of weapons that were used in Uvalde, Texas, they need to be off the streets, legal or illegal, and they shouldn't be given to anyone else but law enforcement and our brave men and women in uniform. Sarah, it's always a pleasure when you come on this show. I really do appreciate your time as always. We'll have you on again.